The Declaration of Elara. The weight of a borrowed name. Elara's life was lived in the reflection of 1,000 other eyes. She moved through her days in the mirror of circumstance, wearing identities given to her like ill-fitting, hand-me-down clothes. The world would hand her a label, and she would take it. Failure was the cold silence in the boardroom after her project was reassigned. Broken was the heavy finality of a house key left on the counter. On quiet nights, alone with the hum of the refrigerator, the label was simply unworthy. Today, after a terse, dismissive email from her manager, the fabric felt tighter than ever. She stood at her kitchen sink, staring at her faint reflection in the dark window, the water running over her numb hands. It's true, she thought, the familiar criticism coiling in her mind. I am limited. I always fall short. She was living as a reaction, a person defined not by her own substance, but by the shadows cast by others. This hollow acceptance, however, was beginning to wear thin. A quiet but persistent question started to bubble up from a place she had long ignored. Was this reflection truly her? A crack in the mirror. Later that evening, staring into her bathroom mirror, the thought struck her with the force of a revelation. She had spent her entire life believing the reflection was the ultimate truth. But the secret, she suddenly understood, was that mirrors only show what's already there. They don't decide it. They don't create. They only reflect. In that moment, she recognized the profound error of her life. She had been outsourcing her definition. She had allowed people, places, and events to stand before her mirror and cast an image, and she had mistaken that image for herself. This wasn't an identity discovered in the rubble of experience. It was a secondhand story she had agreed to live. A silent, radical invitation echoed in her mind. Flip the script. This reflection, it isn't the truth. It's just a memory of what I've been told I am. The crack in the mirror revealed not a broken image, but an opportunity for a new one. Now she needed to understand how to choose her own. The echo of I am. In the quiet that followed, Elara sat with a pen and a blank notebook, the two simplest words in the language circling her thoughts. She wrote them down, I am. Then she finished the sentence with the old, familiar labels. I am a failure. I am broken. A wave of exhaustion washed over her. The words felt heavy, true, like spells she had been casting on herself without knowing. Then a different thought arose. What if she wrote something else? What if the declaration came first? Her pen hovered over the page as the idea crystallized, feeling less like a theory and more like a long-forgotten key turning in a lock. She realized that every I am statement was a kind of spell, an act of creation that sets the tone of your reality. She saw that if you declare, I am limited, the world doesn't argue. It obediently mirrors limitation right back at you. This was it. This was the tool. With intention and resolve, she closed the notebook, ready to speak a new reality into being. The Declaration in the Quiet. There was no audience and no grand stage. There was only Elara, standing in the stillness of her own room, ready to rise up and decide, boldly and unapologetically, who she was. It was time to stop waiting for the world to give her a name and, finally, to choose her own. She took a deep breath, not to brace for impact, but to claim her space. Then she spoke the words aloud, her voice soft but unwavering. I am powerful. I am worthy. I am the one who decides. The words did not echo off the walls. They resonated within her, a fundamental chord striking true for the first time. This was not a hope or a wish. It was a declaration. With this internal shift, she felt the first tremor of an external one. A world rearranged. The next morning, Elara's phone buzzed. It was an old colleague she hadn't spoken to in years, reaching out of the blue with a question. "I remember you had some incredible ideas about that marketing project. I'm leading a new team and could use someone with your vision. Are you available to talk?" It was a small thing, a simple text message. But as Elara read the words, a slow smile spread across her face. The reflection was already changing. The world was beginning to bend around that vibration, to rearrange itself around her decision. Manifestation was no longer a theory she had read about. It was the quiet hum of her phone, the warmth spreading through her chest, the lived experience of a new story just beginning to unfold.